Welcome, friends, to another Lowco Friday in the fall. Feels like fall out there, Wes. High of 73 today. I mean, that passes
Yeah,
for fall for us.
the
A
cloud
little
cover,
chillier,
the chills,
cloud cover,
it's getting
possible
to. I mean,
possible
we're getting
showers.
there. We're getting closer. You got a
Yeah,
couple,
that
just a
means the
couple more weeks of
snakes are
rain
getting
season,
tired.
and then yeah, I think you're getting a bit more intense every week
We're
now. We got
getting
a
to
big
it.
one
It's
we're
week
going to
8.
tonight over in Hampton.
Ooh. It's week 8. We started in week -1. Do the math. We've been doing this for a while now. It's go time again. It's region season. Weird slate this week, kind of, because we've got 15 games on the schedule, but only two. When you have that many, that means not very many are doubling up. So only two loco on loco matchups. You mentioned briefly there that we're doing a team loco road trip up to Hampton for Hampton against Woodland because I'm going to be on the call. So you're going to be on the coverage, I guess, so to speak.
Yep.
You'll be down in it. I'll be on the headset up top. So you get to hang out down there, and I got to introduce you to one time. We got to get you acclimated to all the characters on the Hampton side of things, so that you can get the full experience. But going to be good times out there tonight, and then the big loco and loco battles. We've got May River Colleton, which I think Marcus Walsh is trying to get to that, and he's trying to get over here on the show in a little bit too to help us preview. He's back in the game after his travels. And then we got Thomas Hayward Buford Academy, which there was some talk Jimmy Searson might go out there. I'm not sure what his plans are. Jimmy ain't had a Friday night off in ages because Buford, he's got to go to every Buford game, but they got a week off. They got to buy.
Yeah.
So he's freed up. He's a free agent on Friday night. That doesn't happen very often. His wife might make him stay at home, but I think she likes going to the games too. So I wouldn't doubt that they both end up. Yeah, Strickland says we just need more Rigdon's chicken. Yeah, we do. But I'm saying, like, if my Hampton people are on here, if the spread's going to be good at the stadium, like, we can skip Rigdon's and eat with y'all.
Yeah.
I ain't got no problem with it. Miss Mathis and Miss Geraldine was trying to get us to eat with them last time when we were full of Rigdon. So if you're gonna have good food out there, just let me know, and we'll pop over there instead. And we don't discriminate. We just want to get a full belly full of good food before the game, so that we can go strong all the way through Loco Pigskin Live. So that's all. Just trying to fill up that tummy. But a few other games on the slate that are definitely worth noting. Wes, what else catches your eye here? I know Beaufort's Own has Battery Creek Hanahan. So hopefully Javon will be able to hop on with us and tell us about that one. I would love to believe that Creek could pull that off. And I mean, anything is possible, especially if it gets rainy, slippery turf, all that stuff. You never know. Got Bluffton and James Island. I got my Bobcat Scorcher shirt on. Maybe they can scorch the Trojans on the road. It'll be a tall task, but never know. Lucy Beckham at Hilton Head is, iron on iron. I think Beckham's got a little more horses, but Ridgeland at Barnwell is interesting, as we noted last night on the lowdown. By the way, had Zion Dobson on last night. Had Carlo Peruzza talking MMA. Had Ron Fudala getting us hyped for Sandshard Hoops. Great show last night. If you missed it, check it out. I was in his shirt and tie. Woodland, Hampton County. We will be there, obviously. Allendale at Whale Branch is intriguing. Whale Branch. Dwight was worried last night about Whale Branch being rusty. I think they'll be okay, but I could see a slow start. PD Hilton Head Christian has been a battle over the years. Probably not this year. JP2 at Northwood. Maybe. That'd be interesting. Pinewood at Hilton Head Prep.
Especially if Tilton's
don't have the dogs. Yeah, Tilton's good to go. BAA at Thomas Hayward is interesting. Colleton Prep at Carolina, fairly interesting, but it's non-region. Colleton should win. Patrick Henry at Branchville is interesting because it's cross Skeeza.
Yeah, you rarely see those high school league versus Skeeza games. So
yeah,
I think that should be an evenly matched contest over there. So a chance for Patrick Henry to
get back on the horse.
Back. Yeah, get off the schneid of a tough result last week against the motivated Dorchester Academy team. So I expect a strong performance over there from PHA, the Patriots. So they get ready for the big one in a couple weeks against Thomas Hayward. But there's a couple of non-region games, but the region games that we do have, there are a couple that some of these teams have an outside shot. I think Bluffton has an outside shot. I think Hilton has one. I think Battery Creek has one. You just never know what can happen on one particular Friday night in Lowco or beyond.
Yeah, I'm with you on Bluffton and Hilton Head both. I mean, I don't as much as I think James Island and Lucy Beckham have shown they're the top two teams in the region. I don't think the Gulf is
Yeah, I mean
huge.
Hilton's played both their games close, and they could
Yeah,
have
they're
gone either.
tough
Like it could be 2-0 right now. Just a couple different
very
plays,
easily.
and 2-0.
Yeah, they're what 9 points away from being 2-0,
Yeah,
2 plays away.
yeah,
Yeah, they're a solid team and they're gonna fight, man. It's a scrappy bunch. I think they'll fight. And Lucy Beckham's good, but they don't wow you. They just kind of grind you down, and that's kind of how Hilton Head is too. So if Hilton Head can play their game and just lengthen the game, which Lucy Beckham is kind of okay with, there's a way. There's a way
yeah.
where they can just make it a low scoring
Especially
game
if they get the lead early, they know how to
and they
grind
can
teams
kick.
down with going that run game.
Not
And
everybody can get away with that because they don't have a kicker, but Hilton Head can
right,
generally convert, short to medium field goals.
yeah,
So I don't know.
close
We'll
game.
see.
Beckham has from what I understand, a strong kicking game as well.
Yeah, they
So
do.
it'll be interesting to find out what happens there. And special teams is always such a big determinant in these kinds of games. But I think Hilton has a great shot. I like they always play with some extra grit at home, and especially when you get the lead early and have that strong defense up in front of you that can make some stops. And I thought they played pretty well against Bluffton. I mean, Bobcats had to earn it; they had to earn their scores. Hilton didn't really give many away free. Bobcats, played well in that game. Thibodeau had a pick six, so their defense can make some plays, and they're going to have to against Lucy Beckham.
Yeah, no question. I was just looking at the while we're on the subject of Region 7 4A. Here, let me get the standings up here, and we'll kind of dive into it a little bit. Because we're 2 out of 5 games played now. So it's starting to take shape. And what you got here, if I plus it up a little bit, is James Island, Lucy Beckham sitting at 2-0. So Bluffton at James Island tonight. Or sorry, Bluffton at James Island tonight. And then Colleton is also at 1-1. Hilton Head and May River sitting at 0-2. So for Hilton Head and May River tonight, I like Hilton Head is, even though they're out, they're -9 only in point differential. Colleton, look at 26-4, 77 against, and they're 1-1. You get some funky stuff here right now. If they're sitting at 0-3, that's an uphill climb. No margin for error. So same for May River. Like May River really is this one.
Sharks need to take advantage. And that's not going to be easy. So let's dive a little bit more into that. We talked about it a little last night, but it really is interesting because this Maver team has been certainly taking its beatings, taking its lumps the last 2 weeks against the two best teams in the region. They had to play Lucy Beckham, they had to play James Island. Now the schedule gets easier for them. How are they going to do this week against a confident Colleton team riding high, heading into the tank? May River's going to have to come up with a strong start here. Colleton's, the team that has all momentum going into this game. Can Tanner Macy come out strong? He's going to have to find a way to get good gains early on the ground and run the offense well. Do not, make mistakes. And in a game like this, you just can't afford to. So I think it's going to be an interesting battle between a Colleton team that, came in underrated as this year began, and then they got a nice win over North Charleston out of region play. Then you come into the region. Obviously, you start off with a tough game, but then you get a monstrous win over a very, very good Hilton Head team, and now you're sitting with a chance. With one more win, you will be very likely to clinch a playoff spot, and that's something that I don't think anyone predicted Colleton to be able to sneak in this year with the depth of talent in this region. But this is exactly the chance that they have tonight to prove themselves and get even closer to the postseason.
Yeah, well, we do have receipts that we were saying, hey, Colleton could beat any one of these teams. We felt like there was potential there that Kinlock is starting to unlock. So, but it's interesting to look at this. I pulled up the 4A rankings on Max Preps, which are, they are what they are. But I kind of like the AI. The AI rankings are they're fun fodder. James Island was at 9 in 4A, which
Yeah.
I've got them higher than that, but their strength of schedule on Max Preps is pretty poor. And then you look at Bluffton at 20, and then the other three are grouped right here together. Colleton at 30, May River at 31, Hilton Head at 33. So, we've talked all year about how it was splitting hairs, and that's indicative of that. So, this is a toss-up game, May River and Colleton. It's going to be a want-to thing. Whoever brings a little more desire tonight on those close 50-50 plays is going to get the job done, I think. So,
turnover battle, production,
execution and want to are the two things. So, but I think sometimes you can get away with a little bit of poor execution if you just play hard and play through it. Play through the mistakes and keep going. You can get away with that because mistakes are going to happen. But if you're giving good effort and you have a great attitude, then you can mask a lot of that stuff and play through it. So,
what's the latest on the weather? Are we still in line for rain tonight around Lowco?
It's hard to say. Yes. It says, hold on a second. It says there's a chance, but then it doesn't look like it on the Futurecast radar. So it's going to be hit and miss. We have a weather guy lined up for future weeks if we have weather, but he wasn't available tonight. Greg Dissel from Brightway Insurance is in my B&I group. He gives us really great hurricane updates. So I said, hey, dude, when we have bad weather on Friday night, you got to come on and do like your manic Steve Kornacki weather report, Jim Cantori weather report for Friday night. But he's at Disney with his daughter for his daughter's birthday, so can't do that. But yeah, we're down to like staying like 38% at 7, 61% at 8. But it keeps getting pushed back further and further. I think maybe they're just guessing, and it's just going to be a coin flip, game time decision, and probably sporadic and spread out. So we may get little pockets of showers, but I don't think it's going to be full on deluge. I hope not. Should be okay. There was I heard something about Woodland trying to move the Hampton game to Wednesday or something because of rain in the forecast, and Hampton was like, "No, we're good. We'll play in the rain. We're good. We're not trying to play on Wednesday." And I'm glad because that would have thrown everything into a mess. Then in Region 8-3A, we mentioned that the Buford is off, and Battery Creek has Hanahan, Philip Simmons against North Charleston. I could get up the Region 8-3A standings here, but Philip Simmons in the driver's seat, definitely. Buford gets a week off, and then they finish up with who they have left? North Charleston.
And then
yeah, and that Hanahan game will be interesting. They'll be playing for that game. Most likely will be for a playoff home playoff game.
Yep.
So that one will be interesting. There you go, Philip Simmons. Hanahan trying to get to 2-0 tonight. Buford sitting at 1-1, North Charleston at 1-2, and then Battery Creek, which unfortunately had North Charleston where they wanted them and lost their quarterback, and then they started just losing everybody and their brother. Yeah. It's not good. So it's a tough situation over there. I don't see a win on the schedule, but never do know. Tonight would be probably the one because they got Philip Simmons to finish it off, and that's no bueno.
Yeah, this is probably your best chance left, and it's not going to be easy against the Indian team that's been playing some underrated football over there in 3. That's going to be a challenge for Buford coming up in Week 10. So excited for that one. But just unfortunate to see what's happening with the man. They had a couple of close games. I looked back to that original one, which I thought they had, but then the Jags came back to win it in an absolute battle early on in the season, and then that North Charleston game. It's tough when you have injuries and bad breaks, and some things you just can't control. That's the way football goes, and so many other sports too. But you can control what you can control. But sometimes the breaks don't bounce your way, and that's unfortunately what's happened this year for Battery Creek.
And when you're trying to rebuild and you're trying to change a culture and those things, it requires a lot of leap of faith. It requires a lot of people to buy in and believe in something that is really hard for them to see. And it doesn't take very long. The less faith they have, the shakier it is, and the sooner they start to fall off the bandwagon. And at some point when the wheels are really falling off, that bandwagon over there is down to just a handful of dudes, I think, who are still fighting and really believing in it. And that makes it tough. You need everybody. You can't rebuild with just the guys who are committed. You have to go out and find a bunch of guys who haven't been committed and get them committed and get them on the right path and get them into the team concept. And that's what they've done at Hampton and at Colleton. And you're seeing, the success start to come there. And I hope that will take hold at Creek. And I think it could have this year if some things bounce differently early. Like you said, if they get that Ridgeland win, if they hang on to that big lead at Calhoun County, if they don't, lose their quarterback and they beat North Charleston. I mean, there's a lot of close winnable games in there that just didn't go their way. And when you buy in and you put in the work and then you don't get the reward, it's really easy for some guys to start to just say, man, it's not worth it. It's not worth it. And it doesn't take too many before you find yourself in trouble. So I think that's kind of what happened at Creek this year. But, they've got some good guys. Yeah. They got some guys I've really enjoyed covering, and I'd love to see them get to continue to play. But looking at the 3A rankings, representation for the region a little weak again. Philip Simmons at 8. I got them a little higher than that as well. I think they're a good team.
Yeah. I think they can be a problem with that run game, the way that offense is playing. That's a team that could do some damage.
Yeah, I think they're dangerous. Hanahan at 25. And then you got North Charleston at 39, Battery Creek at 43. So kind of scraping the bottom there. But moving on to 2A, got a couple of good matchups there. We obviously have the one we're going to, Hampton and Woodland. Now, I think you've dived a little bit more into Woodland than I have at this point. I'm going to dive in a little bit more this afternoon, so it's fresh in my mind. But obviously, Cam Pringle is the big name, but they've got some weapons on offense. And Zion told us last night he feels like if they can stop the run for Woodland's run game, then they'll have a great shot because they feel like that secondary can hold its own, which I agree with. That secondary is outstanding for Hampton. But what do you see as far as, stopping that run game's saying it's one thing.
Yeah,
I love Hampton's front, but I think that's kind of the key battle, right?
Yeah, and I think the trenches, as we mentioned, the play at the line is going to be the determination of who wins this football game. Of course, you got Cam Pringle on one side, Kayvon Chisholm representing the Hampton County Hurricanes. But, this is a Woodland roster that, is even deeper than originally thought. They've got some guys who will fight out there on the line, and then the run game is pretty solid as well. You got TJ Wright, who's been a nice fixture over there, senior running back, Jaden Gardner as well. So they've got weapons they can throw at you in that department in terms of the rushing offense. And they've got a ton of guys with grits on both sides who can make it tough. Javari Guest has been a nice player for of course, Cam Pringle has been another. Tyron Summerson. They have a Antonio Ford who's listed at 300 pounds. So they've got a bunch of strong guys down there. That Anthony's got to be ready. They've got to be ready to fight. It's going to be a heavyweight battle tonight over in Farmville.
Yeah, and it's 2A football, but it's going to look a lot more like 4A football. These are both two really big physical teams with robust rosters. We saw Hampton go against Hilton Head, and if you didn't know better and you knew one was a 4A team and one was a 2A team, you would have thought it was the other way around, just based on the roster size and the physical size of the roster. So, it is going to be – it's big boy football tonight in Hampton. It's going to be good times. We'll be on WSAV CW Friday Night Blitz Game of the Week with Andrew Davis. So check us out over there.
They do a great job. They do a great job with those live games. Yep.
It's fun. Yeah, they do a great job. It's really fun to work with them. They're pros. Dan Flaxer is the creative services director that's kind of running the show. on the live broadcast, and he does a terrific job. I mean, it's a pleasure to work with them. It's cool. I get to like see behind the curtain a little bit and see how it works. And having people in your ear is interesting. It takes a little bit of an adjustment at first, but once you get adjusted to it, it's really cool because they'll feed you. A good producer will feed you stuff and let you know like what's coming on the screen. You can be prepped for it and stuff, and makes you look good. So it's really cool. I love it. It's way fun. I dreamed of doing it as a kid, and now I get to actually be on TV and do it. So very cool. But looking at these 2A rankings, I mean, we've talked all season about the strength of this region. And look at this. You got Hampton at 6, which they're ranked higher in the statewide poll, but these are the Max Preps rankings. And then you've got Woodland at 10. You got Barnwell at 14. And then I'm going to say even Ridgeland and Edisto are probably, Edisto at 26, Ridgeland at 29, which I like Ridgeland's chances when they play Edisto. Yeah. And talking to the people at Hampton, they do too. I think they felt like Ridgeland was a tougher matchup for them than Edisto was. Now, I think a little bit of that too, though, is because you had the Estill guys for Hampton who are going up against their old coaches, and they had a pretty good idea what they wanted to do. So I think that was helpful. But that Ridgeland-Edisto matchup is going to be a good one. And who's Ridgeland's got tonight? Barnwell, though. And I don't – man, Barnwell has kind of been – all over the place this season. Like they've turned it on here lately, but they had some kind of sluggish results early on. Lost to Blackville Hilda, which looks better now than it did then because Blackville's had a good season. Lost to Bamberg by 10. Lost to Silver Bluff, but Silver Bluff's very good. Put it on Edisto, pretty good. Beat Aiken, which is a decent win. Beat OW. So, no, I think they're solid, but I don't think they're quite on the level that they kind of traditionally are. So, and Ridgeland's definitely better than they've been. So, I think that's going to be a fairly even matchup. I wish it was in the Jaguar Den instead of a Barnwell.
Yeah, I think, Barnwell being at home, I think it gives the edge to the
it's a tough place to play.
You can't discount what Ridgeland has done this year under Coach Rodney Barr. It's been by far the best season that we've seen coming out of them. And I got to see it firsthand a couple weeks ago, but the offensive firepower has really grown up. The fight that we've seen on defense has been apparent as well. Been really fun to watch. Maurice Brown, Winston Smith has been noticeable a lot this year. Your Plow has been a fighter on the defensive side. So they've got a lot of impact makers that have taken that next step to put Ridgeland on the map and to make them a team that, at worst, they're going to give you a fight every night in the field, win or lose. They're going to be a scrappy and tough squad to go up against. They've shown it so far in region play.
Yeah, they definitely earned Whale Branch's respect when they played them. And they were kind of going in there with a little swagger, like, they ain't got nothing for us. And then, they had a little something for you. They gave you a little business in the first half. But Whale Branch gets back at it tonight. They've been off again because Estill ain't got no school no more. So they didn't have a game last week. They tried to find one to no avail. Although I did see Louisville was open. I think they probably could have hooked that up. That would have been nice. But Wales 5-0. They got Allendale coming in, which technically is leading the region at 2-0, 68-0 in their first two region games. So they got it rolling. After kind of a sluggish start as well. They won 4 in a row. So they started 0-3 and they won 4 in a row. So I think this is a pretty interesting matchup. I was wishing, I told Javon from Beaufort's On, I wish he was at that game instead to Battery Creek's game because I'm really interested in this one. But we got to get better.
Look at these rankings.
Broadband.
Whale Branch at 11, Allendale Fairfax at 14. So they are very close to each other in terms of the computer rankings. It's going to be a ball game. This Whale Branch team is, they're going to have to lock in defensively. You look at Alonzo Allen.
Whale Branch at 11 is absurd, though. That's stupid.
I mean, the strength of schedule, I think, is a big factor.
Yeah, it is.
And that's kind of, I remember looking at
fewer data points.
They love like top teams who play a tough schedule. They always get ranked higher. So that's a big.
That's fair. I like that too.
Decent like RPI and stuff like that.
Right. It's a good. I mean, it's a good metric to have. But that's interesting. 11 versus 14, more even than you would think. I like that
Mhm.
cross team too. I saw them beat Estill in the playoffs last year, and they're tough, man. They play good, hard football. They're well coached. There's Branchville at 21. So
Yeah.
we'll see where Patrick Henry ranks in 1A after tonight. Colleton Prep will be like just right behind them, like 22. Uh,
Yep.
but then the rest of that region is
We've got a lot of good games. A lot of good games in the schedule. A lot of,
Bethune's way down
Tate's
there.
Lowco versus out of Lowco opponents, and
Yeah, we got a lot of Loco
we could
versus outer Loco, the greater Loco.
yes, yes.
Expanding our horizons. We get to cover some teams that are just like right on the fringes. So
Or yeah,
that's always
Woodland's like right close to us. They're our next door
yeah,
neighbors. We've
yeah,
heard a
they're
lot.
like
But
the next
we love
frontier.
Camp Brickle. We've heard a lot about them, and that's something that we
Dude,
definitely
I
thinking
love
about.
hey, I got a soft spot for that boys basketball team, both basketball teams actually, because I saw a couple of freaking battles with Hampton last year. Last couple of games in those that old gym, Hampton versus Woodland. Man, there were some great basketball games, and I earned a lot of respect for a lot of those Woodland kids. They were balling out there. So they're very similar in spirit to our friends at Colleton and Hampton and just good country folks who are trying to go out and represent their little community and make them proud. So it's good stuff. What about we'll get into the Skiza in a minute, but let's shout out some sponsors. We will shout out the MVP sponsors, starting with my wife, Megan Jarrett, the official realtor of Lowco Sports, who just tried to call me right when we were starting the show. Like, I mean, literally just came on the screen. She started calling me. I'm like, honey, you gotta know the schedule. I'm sure she immediately thought, "Oh no, he's on a live show." But she was probably giving me an update on some good news about somebody moving to the Loco. So if you want to find a spot here in the Loco, whether it's a starter home, forever home, investment property, she will help you find the perfect spot so that you can call the Loco home either part time or full time and come be part of Team Loco down here in this wonderful place, wonderful part of the country. And when you and Megan Jarrett, my wife, the official realtor of Lowco Sports, find that perfect home, we will make sure it's perfect, top to bottom. Check behind all the stuff. And Jan Lucas and his team from Homegrown Home Inspections will give it a once over. Make sure you're making a great investment and you get any repairs done that need to be done before you move in. And they're the official home inspectors of Lowco Sports. And then we'll take you over to Mickelson Law Firm to sign the papers with the official real estate closing attorneys of Lowco Sports and our OG sponsors since 2017. Ryan and Tiffany Mickelson and their team will take care of all your legal needs, and they're the official real estate closing attorneys of Lowco Sports. And then we got Hospice Care of the Low Country. Saw James this morning. He was tired, but he was inspired. He was feeling good about a great event last night at Harmonious. Like I said, I missed the concert last night, but you saw me in shirt and tie last night. That might have been the first time I was ever on a Loco Sports feed in shirt and tie, but it was all for James Disman and Hospice Care of the Low Country. And I think they raised just south of $100,000 last night to help folks in our community make sure that they have access to palliative care and hospice care services. So it was a wonderful thing. We saw a lot of friends out there, and we are very fortunate to be friends with Hospice Care of the Low Country, the official hospice care of Lowco Sports. So those are our MVP sponsors at the moment. If you'd like to join the roster, hit me up at lowcosports@gmail.com, LOWCO sports@gmail.com, and we'll get you going. And Wes, let's dive into the Skiza slate now. We've got the big Loco on Loco battle, Hayward, Buford Academy. What are you thinking about that one? I think it's an interesting matchup. And, I think probably 3 weeks ago, we thought BA was the better team, but kind of ship's going in different directions
Yeah,
since then with the Devontae Green
the
injury and,
gap
and Thomas
has
Hayward just kind
definitely
of leaning
narrowed.
into what they're doing.
I think it's going to be a very even matchup. You look at the loss that is Devontae Green, what he did, not just to be that pace setter with his run game on offense, but to be that impact tackler defensively. So you lose a guy who helps you in so many different ways, but it's going to be the Jackson Porter show when you look at BA. But I think really the great equalizer for what you could see for the Eagles is Dietrich Schufert coming back home. He has something to prove.
Yeah.
He certainly had his moments as during his time as a THA Rebel. He had, unfortunately, that tough injury freshman year, but he's been a really consistent player these last few games for BA with the ability to pick up yards on the ground and produce in the passing game. And they've got Zeke Gonzalez and that Fripp kid, who just, my God, he's a human highlight
Devin,
reel.
baby
Good
Dev.
Lord. Uh,
He is. He will be in basketball season too.
yeah,
Big energy guy.
try to watch him on the court as well.
Electric.
But I think BA, the way they play offense and the way they can, make defenders work at secondary work, which Thomas Hayward, they've been used to more of that rushing offense. But when you have a quarterback like Dietrich Schuford, you can make those plays through the air. That's going to be huge. And Kenny's defense. I mean, Green's a big factor, but you still have Trip Trevor, you still have Alex Williams, you still have Jackson Porter, a bunch of dudes that know how to make stops, and you can contain Mr. Tony O'Banner. You can beat Thomas Hayward. So it's all about trying to key in on O'Banner and try and stop him. Much easier said than done. But
That's a big if. It's a big one. I can't even get it on the screen. No, I do think, though, I think you're right. It's not easy to stop Thomas Hayward, but it's simple. You just have to stop Tony. And that's, again, not easy. You got to have a big dude who's big enough to bring him down by himself, who spies him. And I think that's probably Porter. I mean, I think you just spy him with Porter or somebody like that and try to just make sure he doesn't get away, and make sure your safeties are attuned to, you're covering downfield, but you got to keep an eye on the backfield and know if he takes off and come up and help out and don't let him get in the open field. So I think good teams are going to be able to bottle him up enough, like Hilton Christian did. You hold him to 125 and a touchdown, you win.
Right.
No question. You hold him to 203 touchdowns, you got a shot.
Yep.
So, that's what it comes down to now. And I think BA has enough on defense.
You can't stop. You can only try to contain them.
I think BA has enough on defense, and I think Schuford knows the players on the other side well enough to be able to exploit some things. And certainly, I mean, there's guys on the other side who know that offense well too, on defense. So I think the defenses will have a little bit of an edge in this one. It might not be as high scoring as you might expect with these two teams. But with that said, if a track meet breaks out, then guys start getting tired, and then it could go off the rails, because there's a lot of offensive talent in this game, to say the least.
But Thomas Harris is a strong defensive front. You mentioned.
Oh, for sure. And they're going to be fired up, man. I mean, this is they feel jilted.
Game.
Yeah, they feel jilted. Their guy who's an alum and been there forever saw greener grass and went somewhere else. So they want to show him something. You better believe it. There's going to be plenty of motivation in this one.
It's not a region game, but these teams will win. It's a rivalry. It's a rivalry game for sure.
It's it's because of the circumstances this year. It's probably the biggest non-region rivalry that in the area. I think just because the circumstances, just because the history. Which makes it fun, because I don't think it's bad blood history necessarily. It's just ooh, we want to beat them. Those are our old buddies, and we want to beat them real bad, because if we don't, that means they beat us, and we got to hear about it. So yeah, it's gonna be fun. Should be a good one. If I could be in more than one place tonight, that would be one of them. In 3A, you got Hilton Christian PD, which would have been, like we said, a blockbuster matchup in past seasons. And in fact, I covered it on the road last year when I was up at Ripken Experience for baseball. I shot over to Mullins and covered that game. Homecoming at PD, that was an experience I'll never forget and probably never have again. But not so much a great matchup right now, because PD's rebuilding. Hudson Spivey's gone, and Hilton Christian Academy's reloaded and looking really sharp right now. I think they're poised to make a deep run.
Yeah, and Drum Paduzzi does a good job of adjusting to who he has and getting the most out of the players on this roster and learning about them. And this team has a lot of depth and a lot of top end talent as well in Skiza, with of course, quarterback Dylan Clark, who is extremely proficient at the way he's able to produce on offense. And then you look at that defense, St. Wilson guy, veteran players with won state championships before over there, who know how to get it done in situations like this. And you got AJ Hopt, who has just been eaten out there as wide receiver and has been the go-to target. He's found ways to get open and move the sticks again and again. That passing game been fun. As you mentioned, it's like playing playground ball out there.
Yeah.
You're passing almost every down. You don't have that go-to back per se, like a Speedy Robinson or some of the other guys like a Jackson Leary.
Yeah.
So it's been more of that air raid style passing offense that's been working for him. So it's gonna rely a lot on Dylan Clark and his ability to can stay consistent, stay sharp out there behind center. And then you got a defense that's grown up quickly. Reed McCollum has been the biggest impact maker, but then you get some others who have stepped in really well. Tucker Tiva is so good, and you expect to see more guys playing both ways as we get into the playoffs. Put your athletes out there as much as possible. That's what Boozy does well. I think this offense should be able to put a good amount of points on the board. Get the PD team that's a little bit down this year, and have the defense get the job done. And I expect Hilda and Christian County to put it all together once again and keep this thing rolling. Here, the last 3 games, you got Prep, you got JP2, and this PD game. So I don't see much problems for them in these last few. I think they're in good position to lock up at least the 3 seed and potentially maybe a 2 if things break right for them.
Yeah, and I've got the standings pulled up here, and I had a question about this from somebody because I think we had mentioned a couple times the prospect of JP2 ending up in the 8 seed and having to go to Wilson Hall back-to-back weeks. And I wanted to clarify that we weren't like projecting that necessarily. It was just like a weird anomaly that's on the table. There's still a lot to be decided. And my understanding is this is a committee situation, right? Because they play an unbalanced schedule. Not everybody plays everybody. So you can't just do it strictly off standings. So my understanding was that Skiza has some sort of a seating committee. Whatever that is. Yeah, a seating committee for the playoffs. And so, we don't know exactly what that's going to look like. But you can surmise that Wilson Hall and Pinewood Prep, if they go undefeated, would most likely
be the 1
and 2. And then, pretty much like Hilton Christian Academy is looking like probably the 3. Florence Christian, they got to 2-1 now. So like it gets a little muddy after that though. Like Northwood's probably going to get a little higher seed because of the out of region stuff, but how much are they waiting like the strength of schedule? I mean, it's just
do they count
to really
do they
know.
look at region games? Do they look at
Right? I don't know if anyone knows those answers. I'm sure someone does, but I don't know who that is. But then you look at the Max Preps rankings, and it's like, oh well, Pinewood's a 4. So yeah, I don't know. Don't know.
That's why there's a bunch of different rankings out there,
and John Paul doesn't play PD, right? So you're gonna have a bunch of like tiebreaker situations, basically, where you don't have head-to-heads to.
Right, you have to look at points, whatever they use in terms of tiebreakers, and yeah, I'm sure they'll.
But can you even go by that? Like, I don't know, man. You can't even really go by that with the unbalanced schedule. Like, no tiebreaker is fair with an unbalanced schedule. That's my issue with it.
Because you're not playing the same common opponents. So
I really think they're going to have to break this back into divisions or something. It just doesn't make sense. But
because you're not
I know they're trying to figure this out, but there are just things that don't make sense.
Well, it's either you go back divisions or you have everyone play everybody, and you can't. I mean, with 9 teams, it takes too much of the schedule.
Well, but I mean, I don't know why that doesn't work though. You get to play 10 games, you play 8 of them against your classification, and then you get 2 out of classification games. Unless they just need those games to make everybody else's schedules work. I mean, there's a lot of moving parts because Skiza does all the scheduling, so you can make requests and stuff, but there's a lot of moving parts to it to get it all to work out. But it seems like you got to move toward a balanced schedule or divisions, one or the other. Because it's just a little too muddy, and you just can't. There's no clear way to do it so that people feel like they know what's happening and it's on the up. It's above board. It just invites controversy, I guess, is what my complaint would be mostly. But that was interesting to dive into. Pinewood at Hilton Head Prep. Pinewood's just got more firepower. Period. Hilton Head Prep plays hard. Don't get me wrong, but they just can't hang.
Yeah, there's too much. Pinewood's got too much in that one.
Now JP2 at Northwood. I can see it. Northwood doesn't play a whole ton of defense, and JP2 can, with Tilton healthy, they can put up some points. So I wouldn't discount it. I think Northwood got off to a really hot start, and the shine has come off a little bit. They got walloped pretty good by Wilson Hall. So yeah, I think there's an opportunity there for JP2 if they get off to a good start on the road. What do you think?
Yeah, I think the opportunity is there, especially when you have CT4 out there. He is the guy that unlocks the potential of this offense, and then it's whether you get enough defensive stops against Northwood. And Northwood's really good story. I mean, that's a team they were bottom feeders for years, and now you come out, you beat Greenwood Christian, you beat Carleton Prep, you dominated First Baptist 67-24. So I think JP2 gonna have to show a lot defensively. I think that's really the key. Got to make some stops against the North Academy offense. Been looking the part this year. They put up 20 in Wilson Hall, but that's it's a strong Wilson Hall team. 14 at HHCA, but they've been showing their prowess offensively. So if you're JP2, you're gonna have to find a way to pick up some stops, force some turnovers if you want to come away with a win.
Yeah, no doubt. Yeah, the defense has to come up with some plays and give the offense a little bit of margin for error. Get a couple turnovers or stops on downs or something, just so they don't have to feel like they have to score on every possession. It's just too much. Can't be perfect. So you got to give yourself a little breathing room. But then we mentioned BA Thomas Hayward already. What else we got? Carleton Prep, Carolina Academy, which is just kind of meh.
I like Carleton Prep in that game.
I do too. It's just like a tune-up game, though. It's just kind of blah. There's not enough teams in that region, so they got to play too many non-region games late. It's boring.
That BA game, though, that's fun.
That BA game,
we had two great ones last year between those two teams. So I expect.
Oh my gosh, yeah. The BA Carleton game is going to be good, and the BA Bethesda.
That's the BA game as well.
It's going to be.
BA's got two toughs in a row to get ready for the playoffs.
Right, after playing Hayward, which is no
Hayward, yeah.
That's
a tough back half of schedule right there.
Yeah, they probably need it though, because they need to get some things worked out with the offense kind of transitioning a little bit or evolving a little bit and trying to find some guys on defense. So you might have to move some pieces around a little. So I think it's good for them to get a stress test, before the playoffs, because they need to solidify that and tighten it up. I don't think it has to be like a massive loss if they get the pieces in the right places. Like you can't. There's not like a guy you can pull off the sidelines and plug in for Devontae, and it works. But there's guys you can move around.
Yeah.
And then now if we plug this guy in here, it works a little bit better. And so I think that's the key for them right now is just sorting out, where the weaknesses are and trying to solidify. And that may change week to week as the game plan and opponent change too. But Shuford's got himself a really good coaching staff over there. I mean, just the two guys that sit up in the press box on Friday nights have about 80 years of experience.
Yeah, Mark Clifford, he always has some good insight.
You got Clifford and you got Harry Sprouse sitting up there, and he's got more experience than Clifford, I think. So you got about 70, 80 years of experience up there, and then you got a good staff on the field too. Who sees a lot of stuff, and so I think they'll be fine. They're going to be very competitive in the playoffs and still have a very good shot to be at Charleston Southern.
I think they're right there.
Yeah, I do too. Even without Green. With Green, I think they were the front runner. I think they would have. I think they would have beaten Williamsburg last week because he would have made some plays that they didn't make. And then you got Patrick Henry against Branchville is the other game, which is It's okay. I mean, it's interesting, but like it doesn't mean anything.
Yeah, it's
But
another.
I still will be eager to see what happens.
Yeah,
Strickland
I
or
think it's gonna say a lot about bounce back ability after getting pounded by a motivated Dorchester Academy team that looked pretty good, and I think they're going to be a factor in winning as well. But you want to look to get back and do what you do well. You want to see both Ferry brothers, Forrest and you, put together strong games. Michael Tucker Mathis, and then you want to see a complete performance on either side of the ball, and see your guys dialed in, ready to go, and motivated. You want to
yeah,
see your team
that's
take
it.
steps and get show yourself that you're ready to take on a Thomas Hero team and take on the best winning teams in the postseason. If you want to be trending the right way these last few weeks, I mean, you don't expect to roll. Nobody expects to roll through the
No,
schedule,
no,
especially when you're undefeated. You're going to take some
right.
lumps. It's how you respond and get off the mat. So it's a big
Yeah.
week for Czech. You want to see some improvement.
You're going to get punched in the face at some point, and the question is, what happens? Do you lay down and let them count to 10 and go home, or do you get up and fight? And so that's what we're going to find out about Patrick Henry this week. And I think we know enough about those kids, having seen them over the
Especially
past
for
year and
baseball
a
season.
little bit. They're not the type to lay down and let them count to 10. They're going to get up and fight. And I have no question about that. And it's funny, Stricklander said, "Hey now, LOL. I was just making sure you were paying attention, dude." Just threw a little Patrick Henry thing in there. But honestly, relatively speaking, it is a bland game on this slate relative to what else we got, because there's just no real stakes. But it's interesting in the grand scheme of things because, again, how does Patrick Henry respond to the first real dose of adversity this season? And I suspect it will be positively. And Branchville's kind of fighting it right now. I think Patrick Henry's got a good chance to go in there. They may be a little overlooked and punch them early and get on them. And like you said, the Ferry boys, they got a nice connection that since birth, since the womb. They got a nice symbiotic relationship where they have a nice connection out there. And I think Patrick Henry will bounce right back and be tough tonight. So what else you want to talk about? We still got time. We didn't have any guests
Yeah,
jump in with us. People be
let's get back
working.
to our big game tonight. Let's
Yeah.
dive in a little bit more to this Hampton County and Woodland game. And obviously, I'm sure you did a little bit more research preparing for the call tonight. What are you expecting to see, and what do you think is going to be, some of the players that we haven't talked about who could make big impacts out there for the Hurricanes?
Yeah, I mean, I haven't done as much research as I should have just because I've been really busy this week. But I think talking with Zion last night, it was pretty clear that they feel like they have to win in the trenches,
Yep.
which is, I mean, that's no surprise. Yeah, that's every football game really, but I think this one in particular because they both really want to establish the line of scrimmage and run the ball effectively. They want to use the pass really only to complement the run and recognize spots where the defense is not respecting it and taking advantage of that. So that all starts up front because if you're getting yourself behind the sticks or in long yardage situations, you just don't have that option or that element. So that starts up front, and I think I wish that Hampton was at full strength up front. I wish DeMonte was back. I'm sure
Yeah.
Woodland has injuries too that I don't know about. But I do wish DeMonte Mathis was back up front. I think that would really give him an edge. But I've been really impressed with the guys who have stepped in, and they do have Drake DeLoach back up front. He is a dog. They got some big, strong fellas up there who are doing work. And then, they throw Kayvon on the end at tight end, and that's like having another tackle. He's so strong. Actually, Myers told me, Zion was talking last night about not wanting to having a game plan for Kayvon and not liking to go up against him in one-on-ones and stuff. Myers said the other day, Zion took the ball, Kayvon came through the hole and was standing right there, and Zion just dropped the ball and turned around and said, "Nope." Kayvon is a hulking presence. So I'm eager to see some of those dynamic defensive players for Hampton, whether it's Kayvon Chisholm or Mandrell Sanders, Mickey coming off the edge, and what they can do against Pringle. Because I know they want to prove themselves. They're
Right.
like, man, this guy. Everybody's looking at film of this guy. If I can get over on this guy, I mean that's a real thing.
Yeah.
So they're trying to get over on him and make some plays, and I think they're really motivated by that. So that's going to be an interesting matchup. And then, I think one big play might be the difference, and I
Yeah.
think Hampton has shown some real big
And
play
it's
capability.
not just Dobson, it's been Lofties, it's been Beauvais. They have a
Lofties and
special team.
Bovane and Hezekiah Abram,
Yeah.
they've got a bunch of guys who are capable of making that one big play that changes everything, and I'm sure Woodland does too, but the team I'm more familiar with is Hampton, and I've seen those guys do it. And so I have, I have a lot of faith that somebody's going to come up with a game-changing play for them tonight and bring it home at
Yep.
home, because there's going to be big energy in
Maybe
that stadium, man. It's going to be awesome.
big run by Dobson or like a big sack or a stop defensively. Some plays going to happen that's going to put Hampton County Hurricanes over the top, but I think it's going to be a terrific, hard-fought, and a neck-and-neck game.
Yeah, for some reason I have a feeling that they're going to bottle up. They're really going to go all in on stopping Zion, and he's going to have like 29 carries for 93 yards or something like that, where he just has to grind it out. But
Yep.
other guys are going to make plays that Terry's going to hit some
And
play action shots deep, and that's kind of what I'm looking for. I
I'm
think
glad you
Woodland's going to
mentioned
sell out.
Terry because he has really done a great job at quarterback this year. I think Dobson's got
He's
a lot
good.
of the love, but
He's
Terry's
a
been
leader.
excellent.
He's a leader.
He's he fits the mold as like leadership, set an example guy, and then he's made some excellent decisions and throws at
Yep.
quarterback. I saw that play to Dobson a couple weeks back. He's really knowledgeable, reads the field well, and I saw him develop last year when he was at Hampton, Wade Hampton, but he's really fit the mold of rising to this new challenge at Hampton County. And as the team has gotten better, he's been a major part of that. He's gotten better too. And then of course you have Xavier Garvin, who
Yes.
he's kind of the X factor.
The X factor. The X factor all the way. No, I think that's a huge point that I was going to touch on if you didn't make it there. Is that as good as Terry has been, and he really is kind of the glue in a lot of ways. I mean, because he's so unselfish and he gets his role as the quarterback and leader on this team. That allows them the flexibility that he doesn't get in his feelings about it when they put Xavier Garvin in. And that makes a huge difference, because if they get into a game here where Woodland's got a great game plan and it's just not working, they've always got that in their back pocket, and it's a totally different look that is hard to defend. And it also makes teams prepare for both looks every week. They can't just sleep on one, because they don't know which week it might come out and Xavier Garvin's the starter and the primary quarterback. Like that could happen any week because they like the way it matches up better. And I don't think Terry's going to get upset about it. I think he's going to understand that his team first. So that's a huge feather in their cap that I think we'll see a little bit of tonight. I hope the weather holds off. It's still kind of in that dodgy situation. But on the other hand, I like football in the rain, and I'm going to be in the Red Sox.
Adds to the atmosphere when you have the
natural
rain
grass too, so sloppy turf's fun.
Yeah, it definitely makes things a little interesting in terms of the passing game, how that affects decisions the coaches make, and you just gotta make sure to hold on that football, especially when it gets wet.
That's right.
Ball control, ball security always is even bigger factor.
Yeah, no doubt. Everybody working today. We didn't get any guests in here, but we'll be hopping tonight. I know we got several planning to jump in with us tonight. So if you want to jump in, if you're going to a game, we're both going to Hampton. So if you're going to a game, hit us up on the socials, in the DMs, in the email, locosports@gmail.com, and we'll hook up and we'll get you on the show to tell us about your game. But a few more sponsors to shout out. We got to get to the varsity sponsors: DDS Web Design. Dave and Denise Sinkovich came down from Pittsburgh to retire and brought their business with them. So now they are building websites for businesses and organizations to help them get found online so they can do more and think bigger. So if you don't have a website, or if you have one that is not getting much traffic, just go over to ddshhi.com and set up a consultation. Let them know Lowco sent you, and they'll get you up and running online with the best SEO tactics to make sure you get found and do more. And then we have the Parker Law Group. Our friends have been serving folks with their legal needs across Hampton, Colleton, and Jasper counties for years, and they jumped on board this season as a varsity sponsor to show their appreciation and support to help us to continue to expand our coverage in those counties and shine a light on more deserving teams and student athletes around the Lowco, like Zion Dobson, who we had on last night, and the Hampton County Hurricanes, who we're going to see tonight. Going to be good times. So thanks to Parker Law Group for their support. And if you would like to become a sponsor, you can hit us at lowcosports@gmail.com, LOWCO sports@gmail.com, and we'll get you going for as little as $50 a month to support grassroots local sports coverage that celebrates our teams and athletes here in the Lowco. 4-county coverage area. We're having good times. Bravo Charlie tried to say something, but it doesn't show anything over here. And Stricklander said it was either that or drive to Dillon Christian. We had some good practices this week and just focusing on executing and doing our thing. That's it. That's all you got to do. That's what this game's about. Oh, Bravo Charlie says, thank you, Lowco Sports. You got it, Bo. Appreciate you. Shout out to the swim teams, the swimmers going out tomorrow and Monday. Amaret Chapman, Beaufort High, Susan Bushman. We got a bunch from Hilton Head, Bluffton, May River, Beaufort, all kinds of Lowco swimmers. We'll fill you in on those Monday and Thursday on the lowdown, and also on last night in the Lowco. So, what else we want to talk about, Wes? Got a couple minutes.
Just a couple parting thoughts about the schedule. I'm excited to see what happens tonight, of course, in Hampton. But I think a couple teams have a chance to make a big statement about themselves. I think Hilton Head has a shot. I think Bluffton has a shot. I think even the original shot, and then for Whale Branch, there's a different kind of statement. You want to prove that you're going to stay at the top of the region and stay consistent. Yeah. So that's an absolutely huge game for the Warriors, especially after the week off when Estill didn't have a school no more, and now you got to get it back in it and quickly shake off that rust of having that bye week off, and then I expect the coaching staff, I expect the team to be ready for that one. But there's a lot on the line this week. Of course, region play heating up, but that May River Colleton game. If Colleton wins this one, you have to put Adam Kinlock right there as a Coach of the Year candidate. If he is able to guide this team from what we saw start of the year into a playoff position.
Yeah, I mean, I think Hannah and Hatcher are obviously in that conversation, and that depends on how far they take it. I think Barr could work his way into that conversation if they can win a couple more, but I think you're right. The front runner for me, if they win tonight, would be Kinlock, because just defying expectations. That's what it's about, and he's done that for sure. I did have one other thing I wanted to share, because Whale Branch, once again, Irv Mulligan, recognize him. Once again, SWAC newcomer of the week this week. Second week in a row, 23 for 115, his third 100-yard rushing game of the season, 45-30 win over Alabama A&M. Now leads the SWAC with 108 carries for 611 yards and 5 touchdowns. Ranks 8th in the NCAA in rushing yards and 11th in rushing yards per game at 101.8. So Irv is doing it up big, man. That's another
Bill Flippin over there, Whale Branch.
That's another bet on yourself, man, right there.
Got a ton of stories. Delaney, he's continuing to make his name known in the NFL, and then Nick Pringle over at Alabama.
Yep. Whale Branch. Niles Pinckney got to the doorstep of the NFL. He had quite a career at Clemson and Minnesota, and there's a couple guys there right now that I think are going to go play at the next level and have a real chance to develop into something like that too, because they have that work ethic, they have that want to, they have that vision and desire that is instilled by guys like Ron Parker and Dee Delaney, who have been there before and go, look, I was where you are. Trust me, you can do it. And this is what it takes. And so, we're always working behind the scenes to build up more infrastructure within this community of this Lowco sports community that will help more kids find that pathway and motivation and find more people who will help keep them on the right road. So then go as far as I can go, because ain't nowhere you can't get from here. You just got to keep going a long time.
Just keep grinding. The trail's been blazed, and expect more.
One foot in front of the other. And if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. So let's all team up, rising tides, and let's get on down the river. But let's get on with our day, Wes. I got a nap to take and devices to charge and chores to do and all kinds of things before we hit the road for Hampton County. Going to be good times tonight on a Lowco Friday night. But thanks to our Lowco Booster Club sponsors, Prime IV Hydration and Wellness, now open in Belfair Town Village. Go get your IV drip in the massage chair and see my guy Max. Rooted Living Wellness, my guy Ambrose is going to crack me up next week. I'm going to be feeling much better. He is the man. Go see him. Rooted Living Wellness. He'll make you feel better in every way, mind, body, and spirit. Barefoot Floor Care of the Low Country. I just saw him drive by during the show. I don't know. Chris is in my neighborhood doing work. I didn't even know he was going to be over here. Saw him this morning. They're doing great work. They want more business in Beaufort, commercial especially. So if you got a commercial space in Beaufort and your floors are gross, call Chris Odom at Barefoot Floor Care of the Low Country and tell him I sent you and that you want him to get those floors so clean your feet will thank you and your customers' feet. Eagle Creations, one-stop shop for full-scale promotional products and custom gift baskets. They've also got awards and apparel and all kinds of stuff in their showroom over off Argent Boulevard. So go see them at Eagle Creations, Bill and Mandy, and let them know again that Lowco sent you. And then Court Lifestyle Pros, Daniel and Debbie Court, Low Country natives selling the Lowco lifestyle on HHI. So if you want to live like the Courts and live big, live mas. That was the Taco Bell thing, right? Live mas. If you want to live mas in the Lowco, call on the Court Real Lifestyle Pros. Lifestyle. It's about lifestyle with them. It's not about real estate. It's about lifestyle. You're buying a lifestyle. So if that's what you're looking for, they're your peeps. So should be a great time out there tonight. If you see us, say hi. Tell us to take a selfie with you. If you want to come on the show, tell us so we can text you the link or whatever. And we need more voices in here. You and me talking is boring. We need characters. Get in here, characters. Get out of your jobs. You need us to write a note for your boss or whatever so you can be on our show at lunchtime. Just holler at me, or maybe we'll just do Thursday nights next season. Do the preview show Thursday nights. We'll figure it out. Right now, man, we just fit it into whenever we can fit it in our schedules, and that happened to be Friday lunchtime this season. So we'll roll with it for now. But thanks to everybody who came along for the journey. We are only halfway done because we'll be back at 11:30 tonight to bring it all home, round it all up, and let you all know what went down on Lowco Friday night. For Wes Kerr, I'm Justin Jarrett. Thanks so much to all of our sponsors, and thanks to y'all for showing up to listen to us ramble for an hour and 3 minutes and 30 seconds. Until next time, go Lowco.